Okay, ready? Okay, welcome everyone. Wednesday night shir. Topic, the title of tonight's shir is Seeing the Third Beis HaMikdash. That is the topic. But first, a word from our sponsor. If you already got tickets in the grand draw, thank you very much. If you didn't yet, and if you're listening to the live YouTube stream, by the time you listen to the other recordings, they'll probably be too late. But queensraffle.com, the raffle closes tonight, 11:59 p.m. and 59 seconds. Don't wait till then, because then you'll run out of time. And I think we have 132 tickets left, I think, something like that. I already lost track. In any event, do it for the mitzvah, do it for the gishmak. Maybe you'll win $18,000. Someone will win. It might as well be you. Queensraffle.com. Okay. Now, due to that situation in my life right now that I'm trying to raise money for the Chabad house and doing the raffle, so tonight's shir is not going to be the way the usual shir more, where I prepared source sheets and we go through different sources and stuff. But I think it's still going to be enjoyable. God willing, we are going to study together a sikha from the Rebbe on this upcoming Shabbos, which is Shabbos Chazon, the Shabbos of the vision, which is called Shabbos Chazon. Why? Because the Haftarah is Chazon Yeshayahu ben Amoitz. The Haftarah, we call it Shabbos Chazon after the Haftarah. Kind of like how we say Parshas Zochor is by Bar Amalek, Zochor is Shas Amalek, and so on and so forth. It's open, no? Is it open?
No, the handle isn't the handle down. The button, oh, because the button can push.
Sorry, got distracted. So we're going to learn about Shabbos Chazon, and we're going to begin with the teaching of a tzaddik who teaches about Shabbos Chazon. I'm going to bring another tzaddik in who teaches about Shabbos Chazon, and we are going to analyze the words very, very closely, very carefully, with love and grace, because we certainly believe that the words of tzaddikim last forever, and the words of tzaddikim are not just because that's what happened to come out of their mouths, but the words of tzaddikim are extremely precise and contain within them profound life lessons. So, and and the focus is gonna be Shabbos Chazon. With no further ado, and I'm going to try to go relatively quickly. I'm going to skip maybe one piece, which I'll sum up upside. One piece, maybe two pieces we're going to skip, which I'll try to sum up. Aleph. Yadua Mashahebi Hillel Miparich B'Shem Harav Mibarditchev Nishmos begins in Merayim Shabbos Chazon Meloshin Machs. It's known what Reb Hillel Parcher, who was a chassid, the Alter Rebbe, chassid of many of the Rebbeim, numerous of the Rebbeim actually, he was considered to himself be half a tzaddik. He was so righteous. So he quoted Reb Levi Yitzchak of Barditchev, the author of the Sefer Kedushas Levi, the famous Barditchever, and who said that Shabbos Chazon is called Shabbos Chazon because the word Chazon is Loshen Machzeh, of vision, to see, Hainu, which means Shabbos Zu Marin L'chol Echad Be'echad HaMikdash Lo Osid Mirachik. The Berditchever said this. Why is it called Shabbos Chazon, the Shabbos of the vision, the Shabbos of seeing? Because on this Shabbos, Hashem shows from a distance the Beis HaMikdash to each and every one of us. Now, we have to be clear that certainly whatever type of interpretations we're ever going to give on something, whether they're drush or remez or kabbalah or whatever type of interpretations we give, we're always going to stick to the pshat. We're never going to leave the pshat behind. That never is going to happen. So he says, "Ein inyan yotzei midei pshutai. Hatam sheshabbos unikri shabbos chazonu al shem haftarah. Kiven shezui hashabbos hasmucha b'sharechas l'tisha b'av. Al keim maftilin ba chazon shayah." The simple reason, the pshat reason why it's called Shabbos Chazon, as I already mentioned, is because of the Haftarah. Since we are Shabbos Devarim, and Parshas Devarim is always Shabbos Chazon, Parshas Devarim is always the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. So we're always reading the special Haftarah for preceding Tisha B'Av. It's the third of the the third of the harsh, if you will, Haftarahs of rebuke that we read during the 3 weeks. Then we're going to have the 7 of consolation afterwards, right? And the third and final one is Chazon Yeshaya. So it's Chazon Yeshaya. Yeshaya had a vision. So we call it Shabbos. Chazon, that's the pshat. That's why we call it that. It's the final of the 3 haftarahs, the special haftarahs of calamity. We'll move on. It's understood. The closer we get to Tisha B'Av, so the worse it gets. Just like the Avelus is worse as we get closer to Tisha B'Av, so to the haftarahs are also going to be worse. Not worse, but harsher, greater calamity. So if Shabbos is Tisha B'Av itself, which the year that the Rebbe said this Sikha, which was 1982 and 84, it's a combination of 2 Fabrengens, 1982 and 84. That year, Shabbos, either it was Shabbos was Tisha B'Av, right? In which case we fast on Sunday, or either Erev Tisha B'Av was on Shabbos, or Tisha B'Av itself was on Shabbos. That was the year of these Fabrengens. So even though we know we're not allowed to mourn on Shabbos, however, in certain cases, like when the Shabbos is Tisha B'Av, for example, or even Shabbos is Erev Tisha B'Av, there are certain practices of mourning that, according to some opinions, are followed. Just they're followed in private. So we see that as we get closer and closer to Tisha B'Av, the Avelus, the mourning, is more and more intense. So now let's flip it around. Just like the mourning is more intense, so is what we see. So is the vision of the third Beis HaMikdash. This that the Bardishver teaches us, that on Shabbos Chazon, Hashem shows us a vision of the third Beis HaMikdash. Hine b'shal smichusa v'shaychusa l'tishabav hadover yeshna b'yesef zeis v'yesarod b'kfir Shabbos b'kfir Shabbat tishabav v'chal b'Shabbos k'mei b'shan azug. And the Rebbe is saying that this year of this particular Farbrengen, Tisha B'Av was on Shabbos itself. But as we get closer to Tisha B'Av, either this year Tisha B'Av was on a Thursday, right? But either way, Yosem b'kfir shadavar omer b'kfir sacheres kasher Shabbos chasadi nechalav Tisha B'Av. Okay, so the Rebbe is just highlighting that particular year, the connection of Shabbos Chazon to the vision is even more when Shabbos is Tisha B'Av itself. That's not this year, but we're going to now continue with the ideas. This that the Berditchever says that Hashem shows us the Beis HaMikdash, even though I don't know about you, I don't remember seeing it last year. And I'm not sure if I'm expecting to see it this year in the traditional sense. Maybe I should expect it. But Vaharei Maimer Haravi Barditchev Einishim Marin Zois Irak Letzadikim Ve'al Achal Kamar Kamar Loisha Marin Irak Letzadikim Gedoli Elisha Marin Lochol Echad Ve'echad Amidash Losi. The Barditchever does not say that if you're at Tzaddik, then you're in luck, because this Shabbos Hashem is going to show you the Beis HaMikdash. No, nothing to do with being a Tzaddik. The Barditchever said that Hashem shows the Beis HaMikdash to everyone. You don't have to be a tzaddik. You could just be a regular Joe. And Hashem will show you the Beis HaMikdash on this Shabbos. So yesh leimer al pirush b'davar b'pashtus. So what does this mean? So let's take a very what we're going to be the simple approach, which we're going to not really accept, and we're going to dig deeper than the simple approach. How could we say that Hashem shows me the Beis HaMikdash? Okay, if I'm a tzaddik, no, so maybe he'll show me the Beis HaMikdash. I'm a regular guy. I'm a regular Joe. He's going to show me the Beis HaMikdash. So let's give now a basic explanation of how that could be possible. And we're going to quote the story, what's the writing on the wall story from Daniel. Let's see. Like what it says in the Gemara in Masechta Megillah from the story of Daniel. I, Daniel alone, was the one who saw the vision. The people who were with me did not see it. They did not see some prophetic vision. Nevertheless, nevertheless, the people that were with me, even though they didn't see this vision, they were struck with terror and ran and hid. The Gemara Megillah asked the question, if they didn't see it, then what are you so afraid for? What are you running away for? What are you hiding for? If you don't see it, then there's nothing to be afraid of. And for the Gemara, so the Gemara answers, you know why they ran away? You know why they were afraid? Because even though they didn't see it with their current prescription, but their mazel saw it. What is the mazel? It's not like mazel tov means good luck. Mazel is not luck. It's not what it means. The word mazel is actually referring to a part of your neshama that is above your body. It's not within your body, it's above. And the word mazel actually means to drip down. So there's a part of your neshama which is not within your body. It's above in the spiritual realms. That level of the neshama perceived this vision that Daniel saw with his fleshly eyes, and then it trickled down, it dripped down, and that's why they were afraid. Were they conscious? Were they aware of what they saw? No. It was a part of their neshama called the mazel, which, by the way, that's what it means when you wish someone mazel tov. Doesn't mean good luck. It's like someone gets married. Good luck. Not a personal statement, right? So, no, that's not what it means. Bar mitzvah, good luck. It's not what it means. Mazel tov means that your mazel, the root of your neshama, which is what the level of the mazel really is, should be tov, should be strong, it should be good, that it should drip down and filter down and trickle down to affect you in a positive way. That's what mazel tov really means. In any event, this is a bit of a digression. Back to the Sikha. The reason why the people with Daniel were afraid is not because Daniel said to them, guys, you know what I just saw? That's not what happened. The reason they were afraid was because they did see it. But they saw it on the level of their mazel, the root of their neshama. They didn't see it in like a conscious, they weren't cognizant of it. Almost like a subconscious. And their mazel, the root of their neshama, seeing it, trickled down and affected them in this world, and they were terrified. So maybe that's what it means that Hashem shows us the third Beis HaMikdash on Shabbos Chazon. So maybe the same thing here. It's not the pshat that tzaddikim see it, and then they tell us. No. Or you say to them, or maybe even more so, that or maybe they were able to pass it on. Maybe they're able to transfer it, so to speak, to other people. He says, no, that's not the pshat. But the Barditchever said, Hashem shows the Beis HaMikdash to every Jew. Meaning, Hainu, Shemarin Zois L'cholecha, that he taka shows it. Not that he shows tzaddikim and they tell us, or they show us, or they reinterpret it for us. No. Or they repackage it. No. He shows it to every single Yid. And how do you see it? With your mazel. Your subconscious, so to speak. The root of your neshama. And that affects you. And that affects you. I saw the Beis HaMikdash. Do you know that? Do you understand that? Are you cognizant of that? Maybe not. Maybe you're like the people who were with Daniel. They ran and they hid. It actually affected them, even though they didn't know why, who, what, where, when, why. They didn't know that. So maybe the same thing by the third Beis HaMikdash. Hashem shows it to us like the way Daniel's people saw it. Or saw a vision. But we're going to not accept this. Questions, comments?
No, it's just as you were saying this, I was just thinking about like a couple things. One is like being in a stadium and having like 4 seats that's sitting in like the top 500 section. Like you're there, you're seeing the game, but you're seeing it differently. Or also like a piece of art that sometimes like when you're standing right up close, you just see like clumps of paint. But when you step back, then it becomes a picture. And then maybe that's a different type of seeing. Like everyone's shown something, but you're seeing different
So it's very interesting. Hold that thought. It's very interesting you say that. We're going to come back to that, God willing. Gimel on page 2. Let's go. Let's take a step back. Let's just accept for now that Hashem showed us a vision of the Beis HaMikdash on Shabbos, Chazon, this Shabbos. And let's say that we don't exactly know what that means right now. We gave a possible answer. We're not going to accept it. But let's take a step back. Why do I need to see the third Beis HaMikdash for? What does it do for me? Like, either you build it, and then we're going to say, Mazel Tov, finally, it took you long enough, right? Or you show me a picture of it. Like, how's that helping me? Show me a picture. What does that do for me? So let's see. What is the content? What is the purpose? What is the function of showing me a vision, an image, a picture, a photograph, so to speak? What does that do? So Mavana Rabbi Berditchev. So the Berditchev says, I know you had that question. Don't worry, I have a mashal to help you understand what it's going to accomplish when Hashem shows us the Beis HaMikdash. He gives a mashal. A father who sewed, he was a tailor. He sewed for his child a very expensive, precious garment. What did the child do? Like, he can buy a kid a new suit, and then they run, they go play, and they get holes in the knees. And you're like, why? Why? That's what the kid did. He tears it to pieces. So what does the father do? I'll get you another suit. Okay. You got holes in your knees, I'll get you another suit. What are we going to do? And what happens? Predictable, right? He tore that one too. First one, torn. Second one, torn. Well, what's going on already? Third one, not so fast. The Berditchev continued with the mashal. He sews him up a third garment, but this time, can't wear it. The father shows him every once in a while. See this suit, this beautiful suit, the third one that I sewed for you? If you behave the way you should behave, I will give it to you. Here it is. This is what it is. That's what the Berditchev says. What does that accomplish for the child? So I saw my suit, but Tata's not letting me wear it anyway. He's only showing it to me. No, that accomplishes something in the child. This helps the father accustom the child that he should follow the correct path until it becomes like second nature for the child to behave properly. And then what's going to happen? Then I'll give it to you. Then I'll give it to you. Now. Beis so this mashal of the Berditchev obviously relates to the first two Batei HaMikdash, the first two Beis HaMikdashes. No. Batei, whatever.
Batei, I think.
There you go. Batei HaMikdash. Number one is the first garment, and it tears it. Number two is the second Beis HaMikdash, the second garment, and he tears it, destroys it. Third one, not so fast. I'll show it to you to try to get you accustomed and in the habit of proper conduct, and then I'll give it to you. That's the mashal. Any mashal in Torah is extremely precise, and especially so since the Berditchev, who was a big tzaddik, and every word he said was precise, he didn't just say blah 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 the way most people talk. They just say whatever comes out. Alavites even think about it first, right? He didn't just blurt whatever comes out, and he didn't even think about it and then say it. He thought about it, calculated carefully each word. So his mashal of the garment, first one torn, second one torn, third one I'll show it to you. If you behave properly, you'll get it, must be extremely precise. And with this, the Rebbe launches into some questions on the mashal of the Berditchev. Are we ready?
Can't you also say he's showing the third one is, you can look at it, this is, if you do what you're supposed to, this is what you get, but you can also say I'm showing this to you, if you would have done what you were supposed to, this is what you would have.
Okay.
It's kind of, I don't know if it's the same or.
Okay. Okay,
What you missed
yeah,
out on, it says. supposed
maybe,
to-
maybe, but practically speaking, there were two already destroyed. Practically speaking, right now, we're waiting for the third, and he's showing it to us as the Shabbos. But yeah, it could be. Okay, Lofiza Tzarech Bir. So if everything that the Berditchever said was extremely precise in this mashal, then we got some explaining to do. As follows: Haloyin Yonam Shal Bote HaMikdashes Hayadiras Keva Beis. The Beis HaMikdash is meant to be like a house, permanent. It's meant to be temporary, not like the Mishkan. Vim Canaan, if that's the case, that the Beis HaMikdash is supposed to be a Beis, is supposed to be temporary. Then if that's the case, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be permanent. Then if that's the case, Vim Canaan, Lama Huval Kach Mashal Melevush. So what's that? Is a mashal of clothing. What's clothing? You know, it wears out. I mean, how long do you? Well, how long can you keep clothing for? You can keep it for 30 years. Okay. So why does he bring a mashal from a levush, a garment, an item of clothing? Clothing comes and goes. You get a new sale, you throw out your old shirts, you get new shirts. Because when we say in the Torah, Parshas Ekev, that our clothing didn't wear out when we were in the desert, that was like a one-off. That's not the normal situation for clothing. Clothing wears out. Shoes, pants, clothes, whatever it is, wears out. So clothing is by definition temporary. A bias is by definition permanent. I mean, relatively speaking, it was permanent compared to a clothing for sure. And certainly the Beis HaMikdash was meant to be permanent. So why does the Berditchever give a mashal of clothing? And furthermore, even more so. You want to teach me, you need to give me a mashal of the Beis HaMikdash. So he could have given the exact same mashal, but instead of using clothing in the mashal, could use the house in the mashal. The father built a home for his child, and his child destroyed it. So he built him a second home, the child destroyed it. So he built him a third home and said, see the house? When you behave properly, I'll give you the key. So why didn't he just say that? And furthermore, seemingly, maybe this is relating to what you were saying, Yaakov. When Hashem built the first Beis HaMikdash and the second one, and seemingly they were meant to last. They were meant to be, like the Mishkan was never meant to be permanent. The Beis HaMikdash was meant to be permanent, at least on some level. What are you building it out of stones for all of this? Right? Which is exactly what you just said. If we had Taka behaved the right way, then we wouldn't have to be having this whole conversation in the first place. We would have had Beis HaMikdash would have lasted, would have been eternal. So it's just strengthens the question even more. The Beis HaMikdash is at its core designed and intended to be permanent. It's meant to be a permanent structure. If only we had been Zoiche, then it would Taka be permanent. So comes the Berditchever and says, I don't like permanent things. Let's use a shirt. So we must say that even though obviously there's a mila, there's an advantage, or there's a superiority in the union of a house. What is the superiority of a house over a garment? House is permanent. Garment is temporary. Then you wait for the sale of Charles Turbot to get more shirts, right? It's temporary. My kids have a theory that there's different types of Charles Turbot shirts, and some of them wear out faster. Okay. It's not a scientific thing, but that's what they told me.
They do.
It's correct?
Yeah.
Certain ones wear out quicker?
Yeah.
That might say it's true.
They didn't last long.
Yeah. Okay. So now you have to wait for the sale, and the sales are not the sales as good as they used to be, right? So why is the Berditchever using a mashal of clothing? So we must say that even though there's obviously a mila superiority to a house made out of bricks and stones and in mortar, it's permanent. A Charles Turbot shirt, it's gone and quickly. But it must be, since we know that the Berditchever knew exactly what he was talking about. And he said what he said because that's what he wanted to say. That's what he meant to say. So there must be something, an advantage, a superiority in the meaning of clothing. The There must be something unique about a levush, about a garment that does not exist by a house. When you do it, then b'kesher l'pula l'bein sheyelech v'derech hayasher nogeh be'iker be'inyan shebeis hamikdash b'chlal zegam beis hamikdash l'azir u'bedugmas levush v'lo kol kach zeh beis. But we're forced to say there must be something unique in the concept, the inyan of clothing.
It's also a kid.
When someone said in clothing, which is not found in the inyan of a house, even though the house is much greater than clothing, because the house is permanent, clothing is temporary. But since the British are spoken about clothing, we'll get to in a second. Since the British are spoken about clothing, it must be there's something greater in the inyan of clothing over the inyan of a permanent house. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that it's not an adult. You're talking about a kid, maybe even a toy. It might be a better example. But to the kid, to an adult, having a house, owning a house, having this has a certain value. To a kid, it's my suit, it's my clothing. Like they're connecting it more. So maybe the idea of the clothing is saying that it's connected in a different way.
Okay. Hold that thought.
I think also to destroy clothing is different. You're not gonna destroy a house easy, is it? You give somebody a house that's not like.
I'm surprised this place is still living with the Shabbos.
I saw it.
I was gonna say like a forest queen. I was
Oh
like,
my
wow.
God.
No, you don't know.
No, downstairs, it was like,
Oh, the forest came
they were
up.
dancing and it was like, the ceiling was.
Yeah.
I was underneath, I
Literally
moved to
see
the
it.
other side, so.
It was like big time.
You saw it moving, yeah.
Yeah.
So be
No
careful in the
joke.
future.
When are they coming back again?
Next time I have to go on that side, so.
It's a house, right? A house is gonna last. It's not gonna
But
fall
the
over.
floors may not.
It's not
The
the whole
house,
house.
the
The
house,
house will stay.
but the floors, yeah.
Well, what happened? By the way,
You have very high
those
ceiling.
after Shabbos, they cleaned up this place.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So nice.
Oh, the kids.
Stacked all the chairs. So that I mean, it still needed to be like mopped and properly cleaned, but they cleaned all the garbage and bags out.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable how they cleaned it up. Tremendous. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. I might still be recovering. No, most of them covered. Okay. Dalet. Page 3. Dalet. So let's explain what is the advantage of a house, of a garment. Clothing fits the man. Clothing needs to be your size. That's what clothing means. You don't wear clothing in the wrong size. If you wear in the wrong size, you trip. Or it's too tight, you can't move. Right? Clothing is tailor-made. Tailor-made. Chviyadin, as the halacha actually is, the clothing for the kohen cannot just be random, generic, off the rack, so to speak. Have to be made for the kohen, has to fit him particularly. However, a house, way bigger than a person, house is not tailor-made, house is not for me per se. Which is Harba Yosem Midas Adam, as we see it reflected in halacha, that there's a minimum size for a house to be required to have a halacha, to have mezuzah. What's the minimum size? 4 amos by 4 amos. Let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, 6 feet by 6 feet, 36 square feet. That's way bigger than a person. Midas Adam, what's the size of a person? A mikveh, the minimum size of a mikveh. Midas Adam, mikveh. Amal, Brum Gimel, Amos, Adam. So a house is by definition not tailor-made. A house is like an anonymous space.
One size fits all.
One size fits all. Like when we bought the Chabad house here, it had all these walls and we gutted the whole thing, a big empty room, and my wife said it's so beautiful. When it's destroyed in a big mess, that's so beautiful because see the potential what it could be. And you can make it anything at that point. It's not designed for one particular individual. Whoever wants to come in the house, will come in the house. Clothing, no, I'm not sure. It's like, I once was away for Shabbos somewhere. I forgot my kapata for Shabbos. So I asked the balos, can I borrow a kapata? He was relatively my height, skinny. His kapata barely fit me. I was like, I thought I was very skinny. His kapata was like tight on me. Whatever. But you can't wear someone else's clothing. You need to wear it that fits you. So what's the point? The connection, the relationship of my shirt to me is actually closer in a certain way than the relationship of my house to me. Because the house is more generic. The house is like an empty, anonymous space. My shirt fits me. Doesn't fit you. So it's in that sense, the clothing is closer connected to me. That's why you can tell more about a person by looking at their clothing hanging in a closet than looking at their house that they live in. How so? You look at the guy's shirt, his pants, his jacket, whatever, you could tell quite a bit about him. You could tell how tall he is, you could tell how big he is, etc., etc. Because the clothing is tailor-made, it fits the man. It's made for you. And there's different types of clothing. There's a clothing for your head, there's a clothing for your hands, there's a clothing for your torso, for your legs, for your feet, etc., etc. And each one is different, right? You don't make a shirt out of the same material that you make shoes, even though they both go on your body. No, but it's got to be mamish tailor-made. Not just the size, but even the material that's used is commensurate with which part of the body it's going on. So it's highly individualized. Clothing is highly individualized, both for the person and even for the parts of the person. It's highly individualized. What about a house? Masha enke naideri is Beis. What if you see a guy's house? What do you know about it? Well, efshar lavi rakli de ashara klal shal adar b'Beis. Ima Beis shal asher shal anin chitz b'zeh. You know if he's rich, maybe. You know if he's poor. That's about all you know. You don't know much more. But beyond whether the person's wealthy or not, which even nowadays, who can you tell? When we bought the Chabad house, we found out that there's a millionaire tax. Millionaire tax? No, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. A mansion tax. On this Chabad house, we had to pay a tax to New York City for purchasing a mansion. Right, that's what I said. Like, we love this Chabad house, Baruch Hashem, and there's plenty of room. So I said, no, not for profit, tax exempt. And they said, no, that's only sales tax. This is not sales tax. It's a mansion tax. So I had to pay it. And it was a fairly large chunk of change. I had no choice.
Well,
okay, so even that, this ain't no mansion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even to look at the house, you might not even know if the guy's rich or not, because you might look at this house and be like, hey, do you like my mansion? You're going to think, you're poor, you have a tiny little house. Okay, you get the point, right? So by looking at the clothing is, like Nir said, is tailor-made, is highly individualized, both for the person in general, for me, and even the parts of my body must have highly individualized clothing made out of highly individualized materials. Again, you don't make your shirt out of the same material as your shoe. Everything is closely connected to the person. But a house is just a big open box. Whoever wants to come in comes in, unless maybe it's like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of these tall basketball players that has to get taller doors or whatever. Okay. You good? Hey? I'm trying to not go too slow. Now, based on this understanding, this introduction, we can understand why the Berditchever gave a mashal of a garment of clothing that Hashem shows us on Shabbos Chazon, a vision of the third Beis HaMikdash, which is like the father who gave a child a garment, he tore it. Gave him a second garment, he tore it, and he shows him the third garment and says, if you behave properly, I'll give you this. Why a garment? Now we can understand. Kedushas Beis HaMikdash eina kailela zerak kedusha achas kloli bilvad. Heyosei Beis Lashem. The Beis HaMikdash is not just one kedusha. It's a Beis Lashem. It's Hashem's home. No, it's not just one
Edifice.
like across the board kedusha. It's not one type of kedusha. Rather, Ella yeshnam chilukim madregas b'kedusha. There's different levels of kedusha within the Beis HaMikdash. Kodesh HaKodashim, who gets to go in there? One guy, once a year. That's the most elevated of the holy places there. Kodesh HaKadoshim, Heichal, Azora, etc. Every single part of the Beis HaMikdash is highly individualized. The Kedusha in the Heichal is not the Kedusha of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which is not the Kedusha of the Ezras Nashim, etc., etc. It's a highly individualized with specialized Kedusha throughout the Beis HaMikdash. To bring the Beis HaMikdash, Hakol B'chsav Miyad Hashem Alai His skill. And the Beis HaMikdash was built because from Hashem's instruction. Which means in plain English that we didn't just go make it up and decide, oh, this will be a nice type of architecture here. Let's make a ramp over here and let's make a dome over here. No, we didn't decide because that's what the architects thought was nice. This was determined from Hashem. It's all from above. Every single detail of the Beis HaMikdash was precise. Every part of the Beis HaMikdash was precise based on what type of Kedusha is happening in that part of the Beis HaMikdash, whether it's the Heichal or the Azara, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, etc. Which is why there's a halacha, you're not allowed to change anything in the Beis HaMikdash. Whatever the way it was instructed to be built, it has to be built that way. You're not going to figure out a better way to do it. Like the contractor comes along and says, no, over here the window should be. You can't do that. Why? Because every detail of the Beis HaMikdash is extremely precise from Hashem. It's meant to be that way. Chazal tell us that the Beit HaMikdash here, which we don't have right now, but we're going to have soon, God willing. The Beit HaMikdash here is mechuvan. It's corresponding to a Beis HaMikdash up there in the spiritual realms. It means there's some spiritual Beis HaMikdash, and because of that, and whatever the spiritual Kedusha is, it comes down and is built in a certain way that it expresses that Kedusha. Therefore, you can't change any of it. Kolomer Beis HaMikdash commercial be'olam hazeh lamata al kol hachilukim shabei v'mokim v'midos gashmim ben kochel proti shabei harei mechuvan meduyo keneged Beis HaMikdash l'mayla. That means that the Beis HaMikdash down here on planet Earth was not just because the architects thought it would look good like that, but it's because there's something in the spiritual realms, up in the spiritual worlds, called the Beis HaMikdash above, and comes down here, an exact replica, if you will, but manifest in a physical format. That every single detail of the Beis HaMikdash down here was commensurate and according to the Beis HaMikdash above, which is why, one of the reasons why, by the way, that the Beis HaMikdash was not entirely on flat land, but rather was pitched upwards. And as you would enter the Beis HaMikdash, you would slowly be climbing higher and higher, not on steps, just somewhat of an incline. That as you got deeper and deeper into the Beis HaMikdash, entering higher and more elevated levels of Kedusha, you were physically rising as well. Because again, it was pitched like this. That's one of the reasons that it was constructed that way. Meaning, what has to be inside a mountain for? Now everybody has to go up the mountain to get to the basement. Make it easier for me to get to the Beis HaMikdash. Put it down on the ground. Put it down in the valley. It'd be easy for me to get to. No, top of mountain. Why? Because then it's on a pitch. It's on an incline. Yeah, because that reflects the idea that as you go into deeper and deeper levels of the Beis HaMikdash, the Azara, to the Ulam, to the Heichel, etc., to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you are ascending physically because you're ascending spiritually. So everything is precise and reflective of a spiritual reality. As it's nashim mokim, okay. And then again is depending who gets to go in those different places. So now, point. And that's the point, for now at least. That the advantage of using a garment, an item of clothing to express the Beis HaMikdash, not a house, is because that's really more what the Beis HaMikdash was actually like. Highly individualized Kedusha. every part of the Beis HaMikdash was distinct and different. Your shoe doesn't go on your head. Your glove doesn't go on your foot, etc., etc. So to the Beis HaMikdash, highly specialized, every part of it. So that's more fitting the idea of a garment versus a house, which is just one big empty box, basically. Okay. Vav, afal b'she'inyan zeh miles on the bush of Beis HaMikdash, hay kamuvan Beis Rishon Beis Sheni Chanal. Uli is lemer chidush afal b'chein ikra yisem rechidush b'mashal melavush b'negel Beis HaMikdash l'osi Beis HaMikdash shlishi. Even though all the Beis HaMikdashes could be described as a lavush, but the real greatness of this idea of a garment is going to be in the third Beis HaMikdash, which we're going to see. Habiru bazeh. Heyoisam shal abayis harishon abayis hasheni b'tugus lavush shekol chelik v'prat shebehem hoya behesem l'dargas hakadosh sheboy b'shebnei Yisrael kanal. Einam mefreshes b'ksuvim v'chulu. Hayna shaloi hoysa gluyi v'nikeres ben b'fratius. Begoluy hoya niker shezeu bayis lashem v'chuluk l'mekomis klolim v'chulu. When you looked at the Beis HaMikdash, the first or the second, you remember? Or probably some of us must have been. When you looked at the Beis HaMikdash, what did you see? You saw a house. House for who? House for Hashem. You didn't necessarily see how each part was expressing a different kedusha. You didn't necessarily see that. It was one house, one place, one location. When the third Beis HaMikdash is going to come, there's going to be a chiddush. There's going to be a novelty, something new. We're going to see shagam le'enei basar. But in the third Beis HaMikdash, we're going to see how every single part is distinct. How my hand is not my foot. It's not just that we're going to know that there's a Kodesh HaKadosh, and only the Kohen Gadol is allowed to go there, and only on Yom Kippur. It's not just that we're going to know it, we're going to see it with our own eyes, an elevated Kedusha. The other reason is that Isa Bazar Beis HaMikdash Rishon v'Hasheni hayu binyanim the Barnash. The Zohar said the first and second Beis HaMikdash were built by man. Mash'enkin Beis HaMikdash la'osid Beis HaMikdash Hashlishi hu binyanim the Kodesh Baruch Hu. But the Zohar says the third Beis HaMikdash, however, will not be built by man; it will be built by Hashem Himself, and therefore v'lochin. But Beis HaMikdash Rishon v'Hasheni, in the first two, afal pishu kol hachalokim v'prati ha'mirishem hem hoyi b'hasam meduyekas miyad avayel l'kedushas ha'pratios, that in the first two, even though that we didn't make it up on our own, we followed our architectural plans from Hashem. It was not my decision, but nevertheless, mikol mokim me'ach shebinyon v'protav shal abayis misyachtim lebarnash. If the but since we built it, so at the end of the day, it wasn't recognizable how each part was spiritually distinct. You just saw this building, this part looks like this part looks like that. You saw the architecture of it. You didn't see the kedusha of it. But in the third one, third Beis HaMikdash, since Hashem Himself is going to be the one building the third Beis HaMikdash, Ketzad kol mokim mida v'protis v'chulu shel bayis Beis HaMikdash gashmi atmoi hem behesim elufim midas hakadosh shel ma'ila boy. But since Hashem, says the Zohar, is building the third one, not me. When I build it, it's a human structure. And therefore, what do I see? I see the humanity of it. I see the structure of it. I see the stones, and I see the architecture. But when Hashem builds it, what do you see? You see the Hashem of it. You see the Kedusha of it. Not just the physical architecture, Frank Lloyd Wright, or whoever the architect was, that's not who it was, right? You see the spiritual energy inherent within it. That's when Hashem builds it.
That's the father, Topher. Right, and the father, Topher, he's banished.
So it's that for the father doing it.
Sorry?
You're saying it's that for the father who does
The
it.
father,
Yeah.
not just buying it from the store, it's Topher.
Gewaldig, that's right. That's Chodesh Av, the month of Av. Okay. Now let's skip a little bit just because time. But the Shechina rests in the world. I'm going to try to summarize it outside a little bit. The Shekhinah rests in the world. And the way it rests in the world is it first comes into, just like in a person, comes in your life starts in your brain, so to speak, meaning your actions and your life force, so to speak, and then is permeated through the rest of the body. So too, the world, Kedusha, is introduced into the world through the Beis HaMikdash, and from the Beis HaMikdash goes out to the rest of the world.
So how does it work now? Basically, just the shoe.
How does it work now? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. So first of all,
We don't have to listen.
Yeah. So first of all, this Shabbos we're gonna have it. We're gonna have a vision of it,
Yeah.
at least, hopefully more. So it's a very good question. So first of all, Chazal tell us that kedusha eina zaz mimkayim. Holiness doesn't leave its place. Once holiness is in a place, it's always there. It's always there. So even though we don't have the building of the Beis HaMikdash, but the kedusha is still there. That's why it's a problem to go up. Well, without getting into the halachic discussion, but it's not so simple to go up in the Beis because the kedusha there. Number one. Number two, Chazal also tell us that now Hashem is found in halacha, in the Dvar halacha. When we learn a halacha, that's in a sense, that's the Beis HaMikdash of our times, in a sense. Yeah. Okay. So when it came to creating the world, what did Hashem do? We all know the story, right? It's an old story, right from the beginning of Chumash. Vayomer Elokim. Hashem said, and the world was created. He didn't just say once, make it like you say to ChatGPT. You say, make a thing, make a world. It's gonna make a little design. Nah, I didn't mean that kind of world. I meant it, and then makes another. ChatGPT makes another image. Say, no, not in that style, in a different style. So Hashem didn't just say, make a world. He said, make a world like this, and then do this, and then make this, and then make that. Each individual thing was connected to one of the Asara Ma'amaros, Asara Ma'amarot. There are the 10 utterances, which really then branch out of the more, as the Alta explains in Tanya, that all the letters of those Asara Ma'amarot, the letters are rearranged, so to speak, through some Kabbalistic transposition of letters. That's the 231 gates, that image over there, the different arrangements of the letters. Anyway, what's the point? The point is that everything in the world was actually not created from one fell swoop, make a world. That's not how the world was created. It was created through make this, and now make that, and now make that, which means that everything in the world, from the table to the trees outside, are connected to a unique spiritual energy. That's what it means in plain English, you could say such a thing. So let's skip to page 6, the third paragraph, the paragraph beginning behind it. So that means that everything that we see in the world is different. One bird doesn't look like another bird. One tree doesn't look like another tree. One person doesn't look like another person. Nothing, everything is completely unique. The reason why we see distinctions in the world is because everything comes from one of the Asar Ma'amoros, and it's a different mimer that's creating and enlivening everything in the world from everything else. So everything is unique, and it derives its energy from a different one of the 10 utterances. Ches. That's going to be the chiddush when Mashiach comes, says the Rebbe. We're going to see that. We're not just going to see a tree and say, that's a beautiful tree. We're going to see a tree and we're going to say, I see the word of Hashem in the tree. It's going to be much more than a beautiful tree. It's going to be much more than seeing a bald. I was on the Delaware River yesterday, saw a bald eagle soaring over the Delaware River. Then we saw a great blue heron flying. I think he thought we were chasing him. We're not just going to say, wow, what a beautiful bird. We're going to say, wow, I perceive with my fleshly eyes the godly energy that made the great blue heron exist. I'm going to see it as if it's like pulsating and breathing. That's going to be when Mashiach comes. But nois of lakach, deeper, we're going to see the utterances of creation within each thing. Let's skip again a little bit, just again for the sake of time. Skip to the next column where it says on the third paragraph, Ba'al Derech, in the italics over there. we're going to see the godly energy of everything in the world when Mashiach comes. There are some tzaddikim that could see that nowadays as well. Kamuva al hamagid, as is brought the story about the Mezitcher Magid, he saw a certain jug of pottery that was made by some potter. Then you couldn't just buy stuff on Amazon, right? You had to actually make it 300 years ago. And he said, the potter who made this is blind in one eye. Now, how do you know? Because I can see what was placed into it. I see the spiritual energy placed into it. So he was able to determine what kind of person made this pottery. But he was a tzaddik. Most people can't do that. So all the more so that we will be able to see when Mashiach comes, now certain tzaddikim can already see it. The spirituality, the godliness, the divine energy within everything in creation. Yeah. Everyone's going to see it. Where are we going to get this energy from? Because how will we be able to see the unique spiritual energy of the great blue heron versus the bald eagle versus the trees on the side of the river? How are you going to see the unique spiritual energy of everything? Well, you know where spirituality starts in the world? Beis HaMikdash. That's where it starts. And when Mashiach comes, the inyan of the Beis HaMikdash as a levush, as a clothing, the inyan of clothing will be revealed. It won't be just a building of stone. It will be a building of stone that's like a garment of clothing, that's highly individualized, precise, and tailor-made. And that will bring a spiritual energy like that into the world. We will see, it will be manifest in the third Beis HaMikdash. How every single part of the Beis HaMikdash, whether it's the Beis HaMoikad or whether it's the Shar Nikanor, everything, every detail, we will see with our own fleshly eyes the Kedusha within it. We won't just say, oh, it's a house for Hashem. Not that there's anything wrong with that. House for Hashem. No, we'll see, oh, this is one type of Kedusha. That's another type of Kedusha. And this is a third type of Kedusha. Like a garment. The shoe, it doesn't go on your head. It's precise. Test. V'yesh leimer shezehu hezber lahadgoshas harabi bardisha v'moshel of Maralu b'nai salavush. This is why the Bardisha says that the father showed his child a garment, an item of clothing, even though we asked at the beginning of the Sikha, show him a house. And that the house will be a marshal for a house, for the Beis HaMikdash. No, we showed him a garment, clothing. Why? That even this Chidush of the Beis HaMikdash, of the third Beis HaMikdash, that it will be revealed to everyone how every single part is unique and distinct and tailor-made with a different type of Kedusha. That inyan, how every single detail is unique and precise and distinct and different, is revealed to us on Shabbos Chazon. This Shabbos, we're going to see that this Shabbos. So you have to keep your eyes open. What does that do for me? What does it do for me? Why do I need to see the Beis HaMikdash? So that it continues. Why do I have to see the Beis HaMikdash as a garment? Why do I have to see the unique Kedusha inherent in everything in the world? What do I need to see that for? You're going to show it to me on Shabbos Chazon. What does it do for me? Skip the bracket, next paragraph. How does it move? So we're going to understand. Let's go back to the mashal again. Remember, the Barditcher was precise with his words. So let's go back to the mashal. so that the father will know that now you know how to treat this item of clothing. It became your nature to treat it properly. What does that mean? When you serve Hashem because they told me I have to. Because Kabbalah soul, I have to. Maybe I'll get punished if I don't. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, whatever. So I have to do it. If I serve Hashem because I force myself, I have to do it. Then it's not my nature. In fact, it's the opposite of my nature. That's not my nature. It's not who I am. It's just something that I'm doing that's not me. And I'm doing it because I believe I have to do it. I have no choice, whatever it may be, but I don't want to do it necessarily. I don't feel it. I'm not in love with it. I don't relate to it. I just do what I have to do. That's not my nature. Remember, the Berditchever is saying where the father shows the clothing so the child will become accustomed to it. And it will become his nature to behave properly. Not to force him to do anything. I think in the old days, when you wanted your kid to do something, what did you do? You'd smack him. Nowadays, if you do that, first of all, it's not a good idea for many reasons. But second of all, I don't think it's going to work either. I don't know if you can force people to do anything. You can show them how to do. You can inspire them to lift them up. So the Rebbe is saying, if we do Yiddishkeit because we feel forced to do it, that's not my nature. It's the opposite of my nature. That's what we're striving for in Yiddishkeit. The Yiddishkeit should be not my nature? No. But my nature might be, I'm like a slave. I do it because if I don't do it, my master's going to beat me. You say to him, furthermore, even if I do get into it, and I fall in love with Hashem, and I serve Hashem with my midot, I love Hashem. And I use that love to serve Hashem. But listen, this is a much deeper level. If I'm doing it because it is my nature to love Hashem, then that's not also not really your nature. That's not really your nature. Why? Because then you're only going to serve Hashem based on what is your nature. Most of us have an inclination towards certain type of activities, certain types of things we like to do. So those things I do. That's avodas Hashem. That's not avodas Hashem. That's doing what you like to do. It's like if a person likes to drink, if a person hates red wine and says, today, in the 9 days, I'm not going to drink wine. Okay. Shkoyach, so that's not going to halacha. That's supposed to drink wine during the 9 days. Fine. Or maybe the Sfardim, they maybe wait till Shavuot Shechalbo, I think. Fine, but so that's avodas Hashem? To not drink wine during the 9 days because I hate wine. It's not avodas Hashem. I mean, that's you doing the right thing, but it's not avodas Hashem. If your nature is you're very like a loving, fun-loving kind of guy or something like that, warm and caring or whatever. So you say, you know what, instead of me loving my seltzer, my orange flavored Schweppes seltzer, instead of me loving that, I'm going to love to learn Gemara. I'm going to love to daven. That's a very good thing, obviously, right? Take the love you have for Gashmias and redirect it towards spirituality, towards Yiddishkeit. That's obviously a very good thing. But what about when it comes to doing something in Yiddishkeit that's not so gishmak? That's not as exciting. You're like, oh, come on. That I have to do also. But I'm already loving Hashem. I'm already doing good things. I'm already loving Hashem. I have to do the stuff that requires fearing Hashem too, but I'm loving Hashem. That doesn't work. To know Hashem, but now you're going to be lacking. Now maybe you don't do what you need to do necessarily. So it turns out it's not really your nature. It's only doing what you want to do. And doing what you want to do is not serving Hashem with your nature, with your full nature. That's like being a Beis HaMikdash that was built by man. as great as it is, it's limited by whatever man can do. So if I do what I like to do, then I'm limited by what I like to do. What's going to happen when something in Yiddishkeit comes along that's not what I like to do? Oh boy, now I'm in trouble. Now what do I do?
But it's not your fault if you like to do something.
Absolutely not your fault at all, 100%.
It seems like it's not good to do something because you like to do it.
Well, just because I like to do something, number one, doesn't mean I have to. Certain things I like to do, I probably shouldn't do. And number two, even if I like to do something good, like some people, they exercise regularly because they love it. Good. So what did you do? You did what you like. But what about the hard stuff? What about other stuff that comes harder for you? What about having an important conversation? No, I don't want any confrontation. No, but it's an important conversation. No, I don't want to be confrontation. I'm just gonna go work out. And I'll be healthy. Okay, that's very good to be healthy for sure. So your nature is real. We don't need to deny it, but we don't also need to limit ourselves to our nature. No, I don't do important conversations. I don't do that. Too comfortable. You hear? I don't have to limit myself to my own limitations. That's not real avodas Hashem. But when I give myself completely to Hashem, not just because I love Him, if I do, but also to fear Him as well, to have both. Okay, I'll pull over Hashem. We're gonna wrap up soon. Don't worry. I know it's a little bit over time, but we have to finish the sikha. Getting close. Last page. When we go all in, not just loving Hashem because I love Hashem, not just being excited about Yiddishkeit when it's exciting. When it's exciting. Easy to serve Hashem when it's exciting? Yeah. When you're inspired and you're lifted up and you're feeling good, easy to serve Hashem. What about when you're in the dumps? What about when it's hard? What about when it's something that I have to do that too? What about what comes hard to you? That's a good Hashem. And a person is about being the whole picture. So when I'm the whole picture, I cease being, as the Zohar says, in reference to the first and second Beis HaMikdash, I cease being a binyana de barnash, a man-made home. And I become a binyana de kuchubir, a building for Hashem. Hashem is the contractor then. Because then I see I'm serving Hashem with Ava and with Yira, the full package, not just what I like to do, not just what I want to do. That means that's my essence, that's who I am. Is kol midos of the kedusha, so everything transforms to kedusha within me. That every detail of my life becomes connected to Hashem. The things I like to do, the things I don't like to do, everything becomes about Hashem. It doesn't matter what I like to do, what I'm inclined to. Like you said, human nature is human nature, right? Whatever my nature is. So it doesn't become just what I want to do, what I'm inclined to do. So therefore, I'm going to do whatever I need to do, whether it means Avas Hashem or whether it means the opposite, Yiras Hashem. Whatever I need to do, I'm going to do. Why? Because it's not about me anymore. I'm no longer a man-made home. I'm a God-made home. And that's what it means, that going in the path of Hashem is like your nature. It's who you are. Just like the father who shows the garment to his child and says, when this becomes your nature, I'll give it to you. So this is our preparation for Mashiach, is to make Yiddishkeit who I am. Make Yiddishkeit my nature. Every fiber of my being. That when I want to have a conversation, it's about Torah. When I want to do something, it's about mitzvahs. It's about Yiddishkeit. It's about who I am. Everything is framed in that way. Then it becomes your nature. You serve Hashem fully all in, out of your nature. With that, we will conclude. That's what the Berditchever says on this Shabbos Chazon. Hashem shows us the Beis HaMikdash not as a house, but as a garment, because it's the union of a clothing of a garment Like we said earlier, what is a garment? How is a garment different than a house? The garment is tailor-made. It's every single detail is for you. Every single aspect is for you. And in every single detail, we see how it's intrinsically wrapped up and connected to Hashem. So when you see the great blue heron flying over the Delaware River, as I was zeicha to see yesterday, and the bald eagle and the trees, you say, "Wow!" Not because you're exaggerating, not because it's beautiful, but because you see with your eyes the unique kedusha, the garment-like kedusha, the tailor-made, the individualized kedusha within each and every single part of the entire creation, the entire reality. Not just as a house, which is a shaykh's klolis in general. Every detail. It's a kol Yehudi. This is what we need to do. This is the service of the hour. This is the call of the hour. This is what Shabbos Chazon is saying to us. That my connection to Hashem should be not like a house, but like an item of clothing in every single detail. In addition to the house connection, the general connection. That I say, yeah, I'm going to serve Hashem in general, for sure. But it has to be also gam shaychus protis bedugmas levush shetachter bechol kechos aprotim. That it has to be like a garment. That serving Hashem is my nature, which means in every detail of myself I serve Hashem. My brain. What is my brain for? To understand Hashem, to understand Gemara, to understand Allah, to understand Chassidus, to understand Hashem. My midah of love is calling on Hussein, Avas Hashem is to love Hashem. The other midas do the same thing. So the person is all in, it's fully about Hashem. Every single part of my life becomes like a garment of clothing, where the feet go on the feet, the gloves go on the hands, the shirt goes on the torso, etc., etc. And then now it's your nature. Now that's what it means to become your nature. That just like we see things physically today, I see this can of seltzer with my eyes. Just like that, we're going to see godliness, we're going to see spirituality in the world when Mashiach comes. And that's the vision of Shabbos Chazon. That's the avoid of Shabbos Chazon. The Beis HaMikdash is going to come down from heaven, ready to go, ready to rock. It's the building of Hashem. From Shabbos Chazon, which again, Chazon means about the vision of Yechezkel, not so Geshmak. Not Yechezkel. Of Yeshaya. We're going to come to the Sechazena, it's the same word, Sechazena, we're going to see the Beis HaMikdash, which is Beis HaMikdash, any bazar, lamatam, esot tvachim, meher v'meir v'egel donamish. So the avoid of Shabbos Chazon is to realize that it's all about a garment. It's individualized. It's every single detail in the world, everything in the world, the trees and the birds and the stuff, everything was created by Hashem from a unique Asarama, one of the Asarama Morais, is highly individualized, specialized, specific. It's not just a general thing. And the Beis HaMikdash is on a slant. As you go in the Beis HaMikdash, it ascends. You go to high levels of Kedusha. Now we don't see that. Certain tzaddikim see it. But on Shabbos Chazon, we're given that vision. We're given that koyach to recognize the Dvar Hashem in everything in the world and to serve Hashem with everything I have. Just like a garment is individualized, so too I will take every part of my life and individualize it for Hashem. And this is the koyach of Shabbos Chazon, to bring us to this level where God will be zoiche, taket, as he says, that the Shuvkal Tzion will return to Tzion and Hashem. May it be very, very soon. My apologies, sort of, for going over time. Next week's shir, God willing, hopefully we'll have the Shabbos Chazon the way we can, and Tisha B'Av won't be Tisha B'Av. It'll be a celebration. If Chaz v'Shalom not, then we will fast on Tisha B'Av, and that means Wednesday night is Eicha and so forth. We'll have Eicha, we'll have the Eicha and davening Eicha here, whatever, Mitzvah Shem. So the shir next week will, God willing, to be Monday. You don't want to miss it. It's a mamash radical, wild shir, God willing, on the Megala Mukos, who was a tzaddik who wrote a sefer called Revealing the Depths, and he has on Parshas V'Schanan, which is next week, he has a book of 252 explanations on the beginning of Parshas V'Schanan. We're not going to do all 252 of them. We're going to do one of them, and it's going to be Parshas V'Schanan Hashem, pleading to Hashem, davening to Hashem, and tracing it back to the source. And it's also Bashgacha Parah is going to, which I didn't intend at the time, I didn't realize it. It's also going to relate to Tisha B'av as well, God willing. So everyone's invited Monday night next week, 8 to Hashem. Thank you, everyone. Oh, I think Meyer. Well, Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.